Speaking of inclusive Africa, look at this. 3 blind panelists.
Thank you.
I can't do any gestures or anything. Yeah. All right, well, good morning, everyone. You met me yesterday as a co-founder of Global Accessibility Awareness Day. I'm wearing a different hat, my day job hat, which is Head of Accessibility Engineering Evangelism over at LinkedIn. I, again, am a Filipino male with black hair, and I'm wearing a gray shirt with black pants and a black jacket. I will turn to my left and ask Julius to quickly introduce himself.
Thank you, Jenson. Hi everyone, my name is Julius Mbura. I'm the Advocacy Officer and also Head of Computer Assistive Technology Labs at Enable. My department also doubles as the legal department. I am a black male with a black hair, I hope. I'm wearing a black blazer and black trousers with, some people are confusing, I don't know, it's either light blue or somewhere in between white and I don't know, and brown shoes. I am blind. For those who can see me, I am seeing you in another way. I am a heavy user of technology and assistive technology, and to that effect, I review cars by touch and feel, and I have a YouTube channel. So I am grateful to be here and to contribute. Thank you, Jenison.
Thank you, Julius. I'm going to turn to my right. I have the pleasure of having my good friend Kiran Kaja to introduce himself.
Yep. Thank you, Jenison. Hi all, this is Kiran Kaja. I was born and brought up in India. Let's see how this description works. Maybe I should crowdsource this. Medium brown, male, around 40, black hair, I think. I believe I'm wearing a greenish full sleeve shirt, gray trousers, and brown shoes. I also have a laptop, and I'm wearing just a pair of headphones so that I can refer to my notes. I lead the accessibility program for Instagram, which I hear is quite popular around here. And this is part of Meta, which we were previously known as Facebook. Some of you might be aware of that. That's about me, and it's great to be here.
Thank you, Kiran. And just for our blind colleagues in the audience, I too have an earpiece in. I'm a big Braille user. Although pre-pandemic, I used to wear a Braille watch. I don't have that now, so I'm wearing an earpiece that's continuously telling me the time so I can keep my 2 colleagues in check and keep us on time so we can go for our tea break. Kiran, let's start with you. Speaking of Instagram and also of Meta broadly, what are some of the things that you have been doing to make your platform accessible?
Sure. So I think the mission of Meta is to help people communicate and create a community and bring the world together. So most of you might be aware you would use a family of apps that Meta has. Facebook, WhatsApp, Messenger, and Instagram are the most popular ones. You would use them to communicate with your friends and family, check what's happening around the world, catch up on news, and things like organizing events. From the beginning, we've been very focused on creating experiences that are equitable and delightful for people with disabilities. In 2016, we pioneered the auto alt text feature on Facebook. That was, I believe, the first time where we used artificial intelligence to generate automatic alt text for pictures that were uploaded or photos that was uploaded onto Facebook. In 2020, we enhanced that and provided detailed descriptions. That's now a ubiquitous feature on a lot of platforms. Jenny talked about it being available on other platforms as well. So we're happy to have pushed the boundaries on using artificial intelligence to generate audio descriptions. We do the same thing for captioning on Facebook and Instagram. Recently, we announced that Instagram videos on the feed will now have auto-generated captions. So this would make it easier for content creators to make their content more inclusive and accessible. We have captioning support on pretty much all video products on Facebook as well. More interestingly, recently, last year, we undertook a major project to add alt text. Yes, we understand that technology, AI, artificial intelligence, and machine learning is great, but it's not still a substitute for making sure that the content is fully accessible. So for stickers and avatars on Facebook and Messenger, we spent a half year adding alt text to over 10,000 stickers on Messenger and Facebook. So if you're using any of those products, if your friends send you a sticker, now it should have alt text on them. So that's a huge undertaking where we actually added alt text manually as well. And then we have, that's some of the examples. I can go on for a while, but I know Jennison is going to, but our goal has always been to build features in addition to making them accessible, equitable, and meet the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. We wanted to push the boundaries of what the technology can do and make it delightful for people with disabilities.
Thank you, Kiran. I'll say a few words about LinkedIn. I've been there for 8.5 years, and we're all about creating economic opportunity for every member of the global workforce, and every member includes people with different disabilities or impairments. At LinkedIn, in addition to what Kiran just mentioned, striving to meet the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines 2.1, level AA, outside of that, into 3 buckets I'll talk about real quick. We recently introduced dark mode across our platform for people who take advantage of that. We last year rolled out dynamic type and font resizing. And that's an example of something that's useful to people with low vision, but also just to people who don't consider themselves having a disability or impairment, but just might be getting old and getting their phones a little closer to their faces. So that's another example. We've also introduced auto captioning in the beta of our audio rooms product. That was very recent, in the last number of months. And we also have auto captioning for our LinkedIn Live events. Certainly, Jenny Lay-Fleury, who you heard from this morning, is not only Microsoft Chief Accessibility Officer, but LinkedIn is a Microsoft company, so she's also my fearless leader. And we certainly leverage Microsoft technologies for artificial intelligence, machine learning, as it relates to providing alternative text descriptions for images. And we also allow people to edit those and to add their own alternative text descriptions. And finally, I'll mention that it's not only about the technological accessibility on our platform. We also provide, for example, and we have provided training for creators who want to make content accessible to everyone, as well as we recently added dyslexic thinking as a skill for people to add to their LinkedIn profile. So those are some of the ways that we are enabling accessibility at LinkedIn. Now, Julius, my friend.
Yes, yes.
I would like to ask you, as a consumer of social media, and don't worry, I heard you plug your YouTube channel. Why don't you talk about what social media has meant to you as someone with a disability, and some of the ways you use social media in your own personal life to communicate with your friends, with companies, and in other ways?
Thank you, thank you. So as a consumer, for the longest time, disability, of course, has been a topic that people don't want to touch on. And we live in a dominant culture, so people with disabilities coming out and talking about, their experiences has been something out of the world, and I use social media to do my advocacy, more so to shift perceptions of people on disability. And I use a mantra of 3 parts. So it's changing mindsets, shifting perception, and touching lives. So whenever I'm posting, I normally ask myself, even the caption that I'll put on the post, how will that impact the person that is getting to interact with my post? How will that pass a message? And of course, doing awareness and sensitization in the softest way I can. The other day, I put on my Twitter that someone got me mad, actually. I was walking in town, and they come up to me, and they tell me, how did you get here? I was like, do you want me to tell you my life history, or should I tell you how I got from my house to here? So there is ignorance out there, but also there is a level of people not wanting to interact with people with disabilities on platforms, especially when we are talking about hobbies and things we do. So I do a ton of things, from skating to driving, riding motorbikes, and hiking, which most people consider as daredevil activities. And all these, because it's not about the optics or about, showing that I'm brave enough. Sometimes I'm not brave. The other day I was at museum, they put the snake on my neck. I still feel it even now. But it's because I love doing all these things, and it's because of the passion I have to live a full life, that I get out of there and push boundaries. Just last month, I was sharing on my Instagram on a tour that I took to Mara, and the guide was very scared of the massive experience that I'll have, but I was the one to guide them. So you can imagine it's a guide, but I'm guiding them on how to give me the experience. So that was fun. So I decided that my Twitter handle will be focusing mostly. I talk about cars. You'll get there. I'll try. There's a time I created a video with audio description. So I was just using my VO voiceover to sort of describe to people what I'm doing. And I told the people who are following me that I need to start tweeting about disability etiquette, so that you don't ask some questions. Like I put a post on a certain page. It's a fashion page, and guys were asking me, how did you even find this page? How did you find us? I was like, you're on Facebook though. So go and look up assistive technology and accessibility, and then you'll get to find how I interact with the platforms, how I comment, how I give answers to comments that people post. So it's not all about advocacy. It's about living a full life and showing people that disability is not supposed to be a limitation. People see as if it's fictional, the things we are capable of doing, but sometimes, I tell people it's adaptation. So over time, we've had to circumnavigate so many stumbling blocks that we've gotten tough at, life itself. And I'm speaking this as an indicator. We are here, the 3 of us. I would call this a blind universe. I normally have that hashtag, blind universe. It's for me to tell people how you can actually live a fulfilling life without thinking about disability first. So it's the person who comes first, and then disability follows. For companies and corporates, they should understand that, representation, the face of the brand. You don't have to shy off from someone with a disability because you're scared of what people will talk, like they'll have a negative attitude towards your company. It should be an inclusive, even representation. We have 20 African countries here represented, and if you can imagine from the home country you're coming from, if you're the face of a particular brand, how much of an impact that will have. And we were talking about having role models. Why don't we start with ourselves, putting ourselves out there? You might think you're doing something minute, but it would have an impact to the next person. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Julius. Thank you. Clearly, Julius and I will have to do a fireside chat next year.
Yeah.
Kieran, briefly, can you talk about if folks with disabilities have feedback they want to give for accessibility for Instagram or Meta? How can they go about providing that? And also, if you wanted to make any mention of how you involve people with disabilities in your accessibility efforts.
That's by far the biggest thing that I work on, is getting the feedback from users with disabilities. We do this multiple ways. There is Facebook Accessibility Help Center. Maybe you could Google that and say contact accessibility support. We actually have a form where you can send in feedback on the Facebook Accessibility Help Center page. That's probably the easiest way to send feedback. We also have an email address, which is accessibility@fb.com. But for us, one of my biggest focus areas is to make sure that we bring about culture change in the organization, in all parts of the organizations and various functions such as design, engineering, product management, and even our leadership, so that they understand that we have a large community of users with disabilities who have needs and expectations of our products, and that as we design features, we make sure that they are accessible, and not only accessible, but are useful and delightful for people with disabilities to use. To this effect, we actually have on my team a UX researcher that works with disability groups across most parts of the world. We haven't come to Africa yet. That's a learning that I've taken back now, where we partner with organizations. In some cases, we actually even conduct user research sessions directly with folks who have come to us and gave us feedback. It's more structured. Some of them are structured, some of them are lab study kind of things where we have a set of questions. And basically what we are trying to do there is understand how you use social media products with your assistive technology, as well as understand what you think would make social media more accessible and helpful for you as someone with a disability. And that's what drives our roadmap for features that we build into our products, such as the auto alt text. One of the feedbacks that we received back in the day was it's really expecting content creators to provide auto alt text alt text manually. We should still make sure that we do that, but there should also be a fallback mechanism, and that's where we decided to use auto alt text. So I think we use the feedback that we get through user research, accessibility@fb.com, and the accessibility help desk form on the page. Or the other way you can also do is tweet us at FB Access, Or we also have facebook.com/accessibility, which is the accessibility Facebook page where you can leave us a comment. So we are pretty much active. Shameless plug for my Instagram account, KiranKaja12, KiranKaja12. I need more followers, please. So, yeah, so.
I'm going to cut you right there.
Yeah, that's it.
Just in the interest of time, I want to give the last words to Julius, but real quick to say for LinkedIn accessibility, very similar, linkedin.com/accessibility. We have a disability answer desk off that page where you can provide us feedback. We also have, specifically for our blind users, we support, or we have use of Be My Eyes on the mobile, on the iOS and Android, for those of you who use that platform to provide specific assistance. And now, Julius, we are in our closing moments here. You have on stage with you representation from LinkedIn and Meta. Is there a wish list item that you would like to see all social media companies to provide for making a much more accessible experience for folks with a variety of different disabilities or impairments?
I'm taking
Final
notes.
word.
Thank you very much. First of all, before I go into like recommendations, I should point out that I'm a heavy user of Be My Eyes, especially when I'm hiking and doing tours. And it's the experience I've been making. I have made people make sure that they understand that you can get into the app as a volunteer, and you get to help. So giving back to the community, you know. A few years ago, we only had, you know, international representation. But I would say from my wish list on...
1 minute.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah. LinkedIn, my wish list would be refinement of interactive, you know, the design feature of it, how to post. The other day I put up a photo. I didn't know that it was, it didn't go vertical, it was like horizontal. My friends were telling me it was, you know, upside down or something. So I think the refinement so that when we are interacting with the platform, we don't need help from another person. And I would just say, you know, there's so much that has been done when it comes to accessibility. The introduction of alt text is a great, you know, innovation, and I heavily use it. And also for Facebook, same goes for Facebook. I think just the refinement of the small, you know, challenges that we might have while navigating and, you know, interface interaction. So yeah, I think I'll end there, and I'll finish by, you know,
What's your Twitter handle?
Oh, my
Your Twitter handle.
Oh, my Twitter handle. So it's at Julius_Mbura01, or you can search Julio Supercharge. Julio, the Spanish Julio, Julio. And I would say, you know, reach for the skies. They are not the limit. And of course, for people like us, it doesn't apply because you can't see the damn sky for that matter.
And you can find me on Twitter at Jennison. And of course, you can feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. Thanks very much for your attention.